Hi there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Prestige Liquids. My name is Andrew, and as always it is fantastic to have you here with me again on another whiskey review video. Now, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me along my journey so far. As I mentioned, it is always a pleasure having you here with me. But if you're new to the channel, then make sure you hit that bell notification and the subscription button so that you can stay up to date with all future content. Now, in the past, I have reviewed quite a lot of whiskies from Craft Works Distillery, and that is what I'm going to be finally featuring again, is another one of Crafty's whiskies. And this one is definitely a very special release, and this is his first single malt, titled I Am. So a bit of background information. As a lot of you may already be aware, Craft Works Distillery is located in Capertee, which is a town in New South Wales. This particular release has been bottled at a monster 62.7% ABV. It is a cask strength whiskey. And a little bit of information now about the cask. So he has aged this in two 50-litre Shiraz casks that were, I believe, were previously from the Barossa Valley in Australia, which have also had a heavy char. One of the other casks that he has also used for this uses a cask from a local winery, and that's one thing that I will always give a lot of credit to Crafty, is his support of the locals, especially in New South Wales. Now, Capertee is a town that's located not far out from Mudgee, and in Mudgee there is a very well-known winery known as Peter Van Gent, and that's where he has also gotten this other cask. So I believe that this other cask that has been used is an ex-Cabernet Sauvignon cask that has also held port. And yeah, that's pretty much all I need to say about that. I'm going to pour a little bit of this now, and I shall get on with the review. Now, as I mentioned, I have reviewed quite a lot of Craft Works whiskies before, so I have also created a playlist featuring the other whiskies that I have reviewed. So I'll put a link down in I'll put a link for that playlist in the description down below, and also in the info cards up the top there, so that you guys have very quick access to those, so that you can watch them when you are ready. Alright, so moving on, and let's see what we get for this whiskey. I've had this bottle for quite a while now. I've been meaning to get around to reviewing it. Unfortunately, life just gets in the way, but I'm going to finally shine the light on it that it deserves. So here we go. Cheers. So the nose, it is powerful. Considering that high ABV, it's not going to blow out your senses in the way that you might expect. It is quite so just going by the nose itself, the nose is quite friendly. Normally from these types of whiskey, especially cask strength high ABV whiskies, you will get a lot of very strong fainty and almost like just prominent alcohol notes, but with this one you're not really getting that. You get more, it's definitely more of the cask influence that's coming through. So imagine a very strong smoky heavy char with dark chocolate, and then again like dark fruits. So think like dark plums moving into the other stone fruits. So I'm getting apricots, peaches. What else? This is one of my other favorite notes that I get from a lot of whiskies as well, and it's the smell of like rain on concrete on a hot day. I don't know what the technical term for that is, but it's always a note that I really enjoy. Yeah, so I mentioned the dark chocolate, heavy oak, good heavy barrel char, nice and smoky. and very foresty as well. Imagine like things like as if you're walking through a forest and you can smell all that like decomposing leaf matter on the floor. Very fresh. This is definitely one of those whiskies that you need to let it sit. Definitely let it breathe. I mean, I've just poured this now, but it is one of those whiskeys that if you were to pour your glass, come back to it in about half an hour, you are definitely going to allow the spirit to open up, and you will be able to pull even more out of this. It has a very complex nose. Again, that's one thing that I will highly recommend, is definitely let it sit. All right, let's move on to the palate and let's see what we get. All right, so this is where that high ABV comes into play. This is, first of all, expect a great mouthfeel, very thick, very oily, dry, and also very smoky. But this is definitely not, on the palate, it is not a friendly whiskey. This is definitely a whiskey that is aimed at people that are, I guess, used to cask strength and high ABV whiskies. I would not recommend this for a newcomer into the whiskey scene. I think this is definitely something that you need to build yourself up to. So as I mentioned, again, just very oaky without being over oaked. Like I said, and again, dry. The one thing that I really like about this is the level of smokiness that comes through. Now, this is not a peated whiskey, but the smoke influence that comes through from the heavy char on the casks is absolutely brilliant. Moving along for the rest of the notes, expect lots of dark chocolate, again, stone fruits, again, those peaches. I'm getting a bit of an apricot note as well. I don't think I've really picked that up before, but I'm definitely getting it at the moment. And lots of dark chocolate. So imagine, say, something like I guess like a 75 to 80% dark chocolate, that type of thing. It's got that dark chocolate bitterness as well. Let's see, well, this is just a whiskey that keeps evolving and opening up the more you try it. Really nice grain influence as well. It's got a, holy crap, that's one thing you've got to be careful when doing reviews outside in Australia. I just had a bee land on me. Alright, yeah, so let's move along. The show goes on. So a nice grain influence coming through. Think of things like, actually, this is one thing that I didn't notice before. It's this might not be something that you guys will be familiar with overseas, but definitely in Australia a lot of people will. Nutrigrain. I am getting a very strong like Nutrigrain note, which is, so Nutrigrain is an Australian cereal, and that's what I'm really picking up at the moment. I have not gotten that note before, but it just hit me now, and that's not something that I was really expecting. That's very interesting. It just goes to show how this whiskey just opens up and develops. Again, this is, I think that's all I'm gonna mention for now for the palate of this whiskey. This is definitely one that you need to sit with it. You need to let it open up. The way that this whiskey changes from the moment of the neck pour. So at the moment, that's the bottle. I've only had about that much of the bottle so far. Initially, from the very first neck pour, expect a very, very punchy whiskey. But at the moment, getting down to this level of it already, just below the shoulder, a lot of those like fainty and high like alcohol notes have already started to dissipate from the bottle, and what you're left with is, I guess, the true essence of the whiskey itself. So that is definitely one thing that I cannot stress enough, is that you need to let this whiskey breathe. Don't be thrown off by what you may get at first. Definitely let it sit. Pour a glass, come back to it in half an hour. Whether you choose to cover the glass or leave it open, that is entirely up to you. I would recommend initially leaving it open, but I think that has been the one thing that has impressed me the most about this whiskey, is how it evolves and just changes over time. I remember the first time I tried it, especially from that higher, like I said, this is 62.7% ABV. It is very strong. I remember it initially attacking my throat at first, but at the moment, I am not having that effect at all. It is quite soft. A lot of those rough edges have actually kind of been like sanded down a bit, and it is a lot more enjoyable than what I had initially gotten from the neck pour. So this is a perfect example of a whiskey that just shows evolution over time. Now, moving along to the finish, like I said, at the moment for me it's quite soft. It's not really attacking me in any way, but I'm getting a lot of that nice dusty, yeah, there's definitely some like dusty barrel notes, heavy wood char, and a lot of smoke coming through, that just blends really well with the fruits that I have mentioned from the nose and the palate. So this is definitely a whiskey that's going to take you on a journey. Crafty, mate, you have done again an exceptional job on this. I hope as many people as possible will get a chance to try this, because it really is an amazing whiskey. And as always, mate, I look forward to seeing what will be I look forward to seeing what you will be releasing in the future, because so far I think everything that you have released has been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it's just I guess a great testament to the quality of Australian whiskey and what we are able to produce down here. The rest of the world really is missing out on a lot of good whiskey juice at the moment. But what can you say? That's more for us. But yeah, that's it. I think I'll leave it there. There's not much more else I need to say, except for just enjoy the journey that this whiskey takes you on. Alright, that's it. My name is Andrew. I'll see you all again on the next video. Keep this.